We don't know yet. He just tightened up a bit in his calf. It's a pretty spongy surface out there, so he just felt a little bit tight. So we'll just get him assessed and work out what it is from there. But we've had a few of them, so as soon as we've instructed all our players that they feel anything, then they've got to report it. And as soon as it was reported, we just took him off, and we're optimistic that he'll be okay. But we just had a few at the moment, so we're a bit. I would say overly cautious, but we're overly cautious for a reason.
And he didn't play, so Ben can't give us an update on how he's travelling at the moment?
No, he's fine. He just had a bit of a corky at training, and it's really, really minor. He could have, if it was regular season, he would have played. So there's no problem there. But it was a bit of made it pretty easy for us because we're still working on what our midfield mix looks like. So clearly he's a mainstay in there. So in the end, just looking after him and still trying to work out what the midfield mix looks like. Today gave us a little bit more evidence, but he'll be fine.
And St. Rob was fine, so you've got a pretty big hit there for Tom Marshall.
Yeah, no, Roddy just tightened up a little bit in his quad late, so it was late in the game. So, we're just a couple of defenders down. So, again, we're on the side of caution, but we'll get him assessed as well.
So he had the concussion there, like the test
yeah.
With Tom Marshall.
Yeah, he had a hamburger with a lot today, Roddy. Yeah, he had a few things going on.
What about the game itself? Obviously free flowing, sort of not many stoppages. Were you happy with sort of what you saw at his end?
I don't think any coach is too happy when you concede 7 goals in the first quarter. Fortunately, we kicked 7 as well. So I mean that part of the game is, I think, new to everyone, and I think it would have been pretty exciting to watch. If I was a fan, I would have enjoyed the start to the game. But it's pretty much, if you win it, you're a good chance of scoring. If you lose it, you're scrambling. So for the game's sake, I like the look of it. But in terms of the free-flowing nature of the game, there's probably a combination of adjusting to new rules and pre-season footy.
Yeah, 24 tackles. Is that? I mean, I know it's a free-flowing game, but
No, we're a pretty good generally tackling side in our estimation, but it's numbers can be misleading. You've got to take everything into account. Port had far too many uncontested marks, so you can't tackle guys when they've marked it. And so if we'd been able to defend that better, then I'm sure those tackle numbers go up. So it's not necessarily the tackling I was concerned about. It was more about the other parts of the defence that didn't enable us to put pressure on. Because our pressure was down today in most areas of the game. But again, you can't pressure or tackle the opposition when they mark it.
Did you sort of, especially when Port sort of got on a run there midway through the game, did you sort of think about, putting wingers behind the ball, like setting their bounces and stuff like that, just to try and...
Yeah, I thought about it, but we're not allowed to with the rules, so it makes it...
like further back on the square, you know what I mean? Like sort of...
Yeah, and hope Port Adelaide kick the ball sideways. Yeah, all those things we've looked at. I mean, they didn't get on top just purely from centre bounce. I mean, Ryder started doing some of his best trick work. He was outstanding at times. Lysette as well. But again, a lot of that was happening with our 19, 20-year-old midfielders in there who didn't adjust quick enough, and it frustrated some of our senior players. But I mean, that's what we've got to do. I mean, we're trying to fight the balance between giving our young midfielders exposure in there and getting our more senior guys the game time they need to be prepared for round one. So today was, there were elements. I mean, we were able to arrest control when Port had the ascendancy at stages of the game through various mechanisms, but that's what the centre bounce rule is designed to do now. It's designed to, you can only do so much, and we did a couple of those things. Some made a difference, but some didn't. But right at the moment, whatever you do is not going to be good enough if the opposition are dominant out of the centre bounce.
Is this going to be the biggest shift in rule change, or biggest impact of the rule change in your time as a coach?
Yep. Yeah, I think it will. But it'll make the game better. Not necessarily easier to coach, or I think it'll be hard to stop when teams are really dominant. It'll be harder to stop it, but again, so it should be. I mean, the game was too easy to shut down at times, with the rules the way they were, and even if it's successful, it's not necessarily the best look for the game. So I think that the changes are significant, and I think things like the kick-in rule, that will evolve as the season goes on a bit more, but clearly, centre bounce scores haven't been a big part of scoring in the AFL. I think they're going to start when I think there was at least 6, I think, in the first quarter. So they're going to be a big part of scoring now, and I think that's a good thing because teams. I think Chris Judd said it. I think a number of players have said it. The really good players in the competition have got more space, and we should always give the good players the most space to work in. And sometimes the game's got to be mandated against coaches who want to shut it down.
Personal, individual positives from the Bailey Scott performance. So the standout, or is his performances during those 2 games surprise you?
No, he's been really good, but his performances have reflected what we've seen in the pre-season and really what we've seen over the last couple of years. I suppose the question mark was going to be his frame. Is he going to be strong enough against men? But he's played a lot of footy in the NEFL against men and performed really well. There have been multiple examples where he's been up against mature players in the last 2 weeks, and he's more than held his own and won his contest. So, yeah, he's been terrific for us, but not a surprise based on what we've seen. And Taron Thomas is, you talked about our pressure earlier. He loves the contact and loves tackling, loves pressure, and again doesn't look overawed by playing against men.
So with Bailey, that was your question mark about his frame and stuff. So you sort of answered that question for you now.
Yeah, no, because I don't care what he weighs. I don't care. Even his numbers in the gym, which are good, but if they weren't so good, it's about how strong you are in the contest and how his ability to, another chase down tackle today. His strength, both winning the ball at ground level, holding his strength in the tackle and tackling, is all really good. So, if you can do that, then that's the most important thing, not your weight on the scale. Not really. I mean, we expect at this stage, obviously, you're probably across why we didn't play Goldstein. Cunnington, Tarrant, all those guys come back into our side. So, the school of thought is we'd like to have those guys out playing so we can work on our synergy and work on our, when you've got Cunnington, Goldstein, probably one of the better first possession combinations in the competition, not playing, it changes things. And I thought Port got on top, but in terms of contested possession clearances today, we were pretty good. So that's pleasing with those 2 guys not there. But yeah, the defence we're still working through with a few players coming back. But we had 7 new players playing our team today, and it's going to take a little bit of time for them to slot in. But I thought all 7 of them performed pretty well.
Jared Pollock just getting better improvement on last week.
He's pretty good last week too. Yeah, both. He was. I said it a few times. Jared Pollock. You guys know him as well as I do. He's a pretty consistent player now.
Is that good for him to get that out of the way against the Old?
It didn't faze him one bit. I remember Paddy Dangerfield saying the first time he came back to the Adelaide Oval, was like, bring it on. Like, a lot of the good players, people assume that it's going to be a big occasion for them. It was just another game of footy for Paddy. And albeit a pre-season game, another game of footy for Jared. Well, he kicked one like that against us last year. So.
Thanks, bro.
All right, cheers.